There's a strange feeling that some people carry, one that is almost impossible to explain to anyone who hasn't felt it. It is a feeling that you have already lived through several completely different versions of yourself. That somewhere between who you were 5 years ago and who you are right now, an entire lifetime passed. That the person you used to be is not just older, they are someone else entirely. Someone you remember, but no longer recognize. You look back at old photographs and feel a quiet distance, not nostalgia, but something stranger. Like reading someone else's diary. Like remembering a dream in vivid detail, but knowing it wasn't yours. And the most disorienting part is this. While everyone around you seems to be living one continuous, unbroken story, yours feels like a series of chapters so different from each other that they could belong to separate books entirely. You have been multiple people. You have believed things you no longer believe. You have loved versions of life you have since completely outgrown. You have walked away from entire worlds, people, places, identities, not because something went wrong, but because something inside you kept evolving faster than the life around you could contain. If this is familiar, if this quiet sense of having already lived more than one life feels like something you know deeply, then what you are about to hear is going to reframe something you may have spent years wondering about yourself. This is not fragmentation. This is not instability. And it is most certainly not something wrong with you. Science calls it something else entirely. Let's begin with what is actually happening inside the minds of people who experience this. In developmental psychology, there is a well-studied phenomenon called post-traumatic growth. But there's also a lesser-known counterpart that doesn't require trauma at all. Researchers call it identity reconstruction, a process where certain individuals undergo such profound internal transformation that their sense of self is not merely updated, but fundamentally rebuilt from a deeper foundation. Most people experience gradual identity evolution, small changes over long stretches of time. The person they were at 22 is not dramatically different from the person they become at 30. The arc is smooth, continuous, recognizable. But for some people, and neuroscientists have begun to understand why, the process is not gradual. It is seismic. It happens in ruptures, in sudden, complete internal overhauls that leave the landscape of the self looking almost unrecognizable from what was before. These individuals don't drift into new versions of themselves. They are rebuilt by them. And the reason this happens, the reason certain people seem to live multiple lives within one, comes down to something deeply rooted in how their minds are structured. The first thing science tells us about these people is that they possess an exceptionally high capacity for what psychologists call self-concept clarity disruption and renewal. Most people build a self-concept, a working definition of who they are, and then spend the rest of their lives defending it, adding to it, maybe, but rarely dismantling it. The brain, by default, resists information that challenges its existing identity structure. It filters out what doesn't fit. It holds a self-image stable even when reality suggests it should shift. But the minds of people who live multiple lives work differently. They have an unusually low resistance to identity disruption. When new information, new experience, or new understanding challenges who they thought they were, they don't defend the old version. They let it go, completely, and build again. This is not weakness. This is not lack of conviction. This is one of the rarest and most cognitively demanding things a human mind can do. To voluntarily release a version of itself that no longer fits, even when that release feels like a kind of death. Because it does feel like a death. Every transition between lives carries grief. Not always loud grief. Sometimes just a quiet, inexplicable sadness for something you can't quite name. A mourning for a version of yourself that existed, mattered, and is now gone. What you felt in those moments of transition was real. You were not being dramatic. You were genuinely losing someone, yourself. The second insight is this, and it changes everything about how you understand your timeline. People who live multiple lives within one lifetime are almost always operating on what researchers call an accelerated integration cycle. Here is what that means. Every human being processes experience, but not everyone processes at the same depth or speed. Some people accumulate experiences without deeply integrating them. They move forward chronologically without moving forward internally. But certain people like you, have a nervous system that refuses to let experiences stay on the surface. Every significant encounter, every loss, every moment of beauty or devastation, Every idea that challenges the existing order, it gets pulled inward, processed, turned over, examined from every angle until it's been fully absorbed into the architecture of who they are. This deep integration takes something from you every time. It costs energy, it costs time, it costs stability. While other people seem to move lightly through experience, collecting memories without being changed by them, you're being fundamentally altered by yours. This is why your past feels so far away, not because you're running from it, but because you have fully metabolized it. It is not sitting on the surface of your memory as a collection of events. It has been dissolved into you, processed completely, and used as raw material for building the next version of yourself. You can just live those years. You consumed them. You used them entirely. And then you moved on because there was nothing left of that life that hadn't already become part of who you are now. The third insight lives at the intersection of psychology and neuroscience, and it speaks directly to why this process can feel so isolating. Research into what is called personal fable thinking, originally studied in adolescents but found to persist in certain highly reflective adults, shows that individuals who experience rapid self-transformation often develop a profound and persistent sense of uniqueness, not arrogance, something more private than that, a quiet, bone-deep sense that their inner experience is fundamentally different from what most people around them are living. And here's the painful part, they're usually right. When you have lived through 3 or 4 complete internal overhauls and the person sitting across from you is still inhabiting the same self they built at 19, there's a communication gap that no amount of goodwill can fully close. You are speaking from a place of accumulated transformation they have not passed through, and they are speaking from a continuity of self that you have never quite had. This is why certain relationships have felt impossible to sustain across your transitions. Not because of failure, but because a version of you that built that relationship no longer exists, and the new version you are becoming requires something different, something the old relationship was never designed to hold. The loneliness of living multiple lives is real, but it is not the loneliness of being unloved. It is the loneliness of moving faster than the structures around you were built to accommodate. The fourth insight is perhaps the most quietly powerful of all. In the psychology of wisdom, yes, wisdom has been formally studied. Researchers have identified a consistent pattern among individuals who are rated highest on measures of deep wisdom, perspective taking, and emotional maturity. Almost without exception, these individuals had lived through multiple significant identity transformations. They had been more than one version of themselves. They had held worldviews they later completely abandoned. They had loved things they later completely outgrew. They had been certain about things they later discovered were entirely wrong. And rather than treating this as evidence of inconsistency, the research treats it as the very mechanism through which wisdom is built. You cannot develop genuine perspective without having genuinely inhabited multiple perspectives. You cannot understand a full range of human experience from a single fixed viewpoint. The people who have lived multiple lives within one have been given, at great personal cost, a breadth of inner experience that takes most people several actual lifetimes to accumulate. Every version of yourself that you have grieved, released, and moved beyond was not a detour. It was curriculum, and you have completed more of it than most people ever will. The fifth insight is one that will perhaps make the most sense of all. There is a concept in existential psychology called temporal self-appraisal, the way people relate to their past selves. Most people maintain what psychologists call a self-continuity bias. They psychologically connect their present self to their past self in a way that preserves consistency. They remember their past selves as more similar to who they are now than they actually were, because the mind prefers a continuous, stable narrative. But people who have lived multiple lives cannot do this. The distance between who they were and who they are is too vast to paper over with comfortable narrative. They remember their past selves clearly, and they know without ambiguity that they were genuinely different people. This clarity is not confusion. It is precision. While others are constructing a smooth fiction of consistent selfhood, you are living with a more accurate and more complex truth that the self is not a fixed thing. It is a living process, a series of constructions, each more refined than the last. You are not someone who couldn't make up their mind about who to be. You are someone who kept refusing to stop growing once you had outgrown the previous container. Here's the reframe. and it matters more than anything else said here. The feeling of having lived multiple lives is not a sign of instability. It is a sign of extraordinary psychological elasticity, the ability to fully release an identity that no longer fits and rebuild from a more honest foundation. This is not common. Most people live their entire lives in the first container they built for themselves, making small adjustments but never daring complete renovation. You have done the renovation multiple times, at great cost, with no guarantee of what the next version would look like. That is not fragmentation. That is courage operating at the deepest possible level, the level of the self itself. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not too much or too inconsistent or too hard to understand. You are someone whose life has been less a single straight road and more a series of complete worlds. Each one real, each one necessary, each one a foundation for the next. The people who live multiple lives within one are not scattered. They are layered. And there's a profound difference between a mind that is falling apart and a mind that is being continuously, deliberately, beautifully rebuilt. Every life you have already lived has made the one you are living now richer, deeper, and more yours than anything built in a single unbroken line could ever be. You haven't lost yourself in all those transitions. You have been finding yourself again and again and again. And the world, eventually, always catches up to the people who are brave enough to keep beginning. If something in this reached you, if you recognize yourself in these words, this channel exists for exactly the kind of mind you have. Subscribe and stay close. There is more here waiting for you.